Guys, it seems like we might have a crazy fusion coming on our hands next week. Now, I don't want to create any FOMO or anything like that. To be honest, if you do the fusion, it's fine. If you don't do the fusion, it's fine again. I don't think it's another nude, but the champion looks pretty damn crazy. Of course, it will require a lot of testing to see if some of the things in the kit actually work as they're stated, or they just have some miscommunication situation in there, basically. Either way, let me just quickly explain you what Plarium has to say about this champion that you see in the background. So, hey folks, next Thursday, the 3rd of July, they are planning to launch a mixed fusion event of a new champion, Titus Black Plume. Black Plume, something like that. Weird name. Either way, guys, it's going to be a mixed fusion, which means that they tend to be a bit harder than the regular ones because you cannot really skip many events, considering that you are collecting fragments for the epic champions. If you miss out on them, you're screwed because they are not going to sell them to you before the fusion, only after. Either way, let's see what they have to say about the champion. He's going to be a Bannerlord, legendary defense-based void affinity champion. He looks pretty badass design-wise. I love the armor, the sword, the shield. He looks really, really good. Now, if we are quickly going to see what they have to say about him, Titus Blackplume is a versatile tank who brings serious value to both PvP and PvE content. And his signature is a passive trigger on his A3, automatically applying a bunch of defensive buffs to allies at just the right moment, providing strong reactive protection when it matters most. His A2 gains bonus effects when Titus is under a shield buff. While he doesn't bring his own, he thrives when teamed up with a shield-granting ally. And no surprise, he forms a particularly brutal combo with a faction unity champion, Acelin Stalwart. Sure, Plarium, why not? Let's make a crazy combo with one of the most paid-to-win champions in the game. Paid-to-win champions, right? Acelin the Stalwart. Like, why not? Let's just do it. Either way, his passive also ramps up damage over time, making him a standout pick for long-term encounters like Hydra or the Chimera, while still offering value in PvP for players running slow-paced teams. And don't overlook his A1 that also gives allies a chance to lock out enemy targets for an extra layer of disruption and control, especially in PvP scenarios. Well, that sounded pretty interesting. Let's actually check out the kit. So, there it is, guys. Void Affinity. I'm surprised that we have a Void Fusion out of nowhere because they tend to make them only around Christmas time or Halloween or while we have some special holiday or anniversary. I don't think it's anything special happening at the moment, but hell, I might be wrong. So, with the A1 skill, guys, Raven Blade, it will attack one enemy. It will have a chance to place a block active skills. Fully booked, it will go all the way up to 60%. This effect cannot be resisted if the champion is under a shield buff. Now, whenever an ally counterattacks, teams up with allies to attack. Allies, not ally, which means that if you are putting counterattack with Valkyrie, he's going to team up with every single one of them counterattacking versus a target, and then he will counterattack as well. At least that's what he should do based on their skill description. Or instantly activate a skill. So that sounds a bit weird. Like, what? Is he randomly going to activate the A3, the A2, or the A1? How does this work? Does it have a 33.333% chance to proc one of the three skills? Or what is the secret condition in there? Because we do not know exactly what happens, right? And also has a 40% chance to place a block active skill debuff for 2 turns on the target enemy. Does this mean that even if he's triggering the A2, he will still have a chance to place the block active skills regardless? There's a lot of stuff that honestly we do not know and we need to basically test before we can say it. Yeah, this champion is pretty damn crazy. This champion just sounds nice, but is not as crazy. You know what I mean? Either way, if there are multiple champions in the team, of course, only one will activate. But hell, why would you want to put multiple champions like him in the same team. Now, the block active skills can be used in the Chimera for trials on the Viper form. Other than that, it will be effective on wave control. It will be effective on in PvP. On wave control is a single target, not an AoE. He could potentially be really good for faction wars, where you need, of course, to ensure that you don't allow the enemies to use any of their active skills, etc. But we do have Cillian in the faction that can do that. And if I remember it correctly, he was a fusion at some point in the past, and he is available to purchase from the dupe shop, right? Either way, you need 4 books in the Raven Blade skill. Student of War, which is the A2 skill on a 5-turn cooldown. If you book it, will go down to a 3-turn cooldown, and he will require 4 more books in this skill. Attacks an enemy. This attack is always critical if this champion is under a shield buff. This attack also gains a damage boost equal to the value of the shield, which means that if you have a big shield, he's going to deal more damage. Now, the good thing about the whole situation with the shields is that he does not require accuracy. None of his debuffs will get resisted if he is under a shield. Now, I do find it a bit more difficult to bring in a shield champion in the same team with him for some of the PvE content and maybe even for some of the PvP content. The whole idea is that you can definitely play around with refresh with blood shield accessories. The thing is, you're not going to get big damage from this skill because the shield is going to be crap from blood shield accessories. But it will still allow you to build him with 0 accuracy and just rely on that, which I think is pretty good. Now, it will remove all debuffs from all allies if the target is skilled. That, once again, it will depend if he can actually deal good damage or trash damage. Multipliers are something that we do not know. We're going to have to wait and see. I think he could potentially be interesting in terms of damage, but he doesn't ignore defense. He doesn't ignore Stone Skin, Shield, and all of those crazy buffs that are going around. So this makes him a bit more useful in PvE rather than PvP. Then, if the target survives, places a provoke debuff on all enemies for 1 turn instead. And this effect, once again, cannot be resisted if the champion is under a shield buff. Now, I think this makes him a really, really good provoker for the Hydra clan boss, because this will allow you to basically attack a target. You're not going to kill it most likely, and then you're going to be able to land a provoke. AoE works really good on auto because it's not a single target. For PvP, it can be good as well with a provoke, or especially on wave controls, faction wars, Curse City, Doom Tower, you guys name it. So that's actually definitely not a bad thing. But keep in mind, you need to have that shield champion or blood shield accessories on him so you can build him without accuracy. Then we have Androx Confident. Okay, so why not? Let's just pair him with Aislinn the Stalwart, which is one of the most pay-to-win champions in the game. And then let's bring in another super pay-to-win champion and let's make a quick, awesome team with them. Androx, which super free to play, by the way, mythical champion, nothing funky in there. Just messing with you guys. They just named his skill after Androx because he's getting a buff, Androx, right? That's why they've done it. With this skill, guys, places a 50% ally protection buff, 50% increased attack, and a 30% increased speed buff on a single ally for 2 turns. Also fills that ally stir meter by 40%. Very good buffs. On a single ally, definitely not bad. A block damage would have been interesting, much better than the ally protection. That would, in a way or another, allow us to give him some damage for that A2 skill. The thing with ally protection, you do not want to build champions with high crit damage while they are the protectors, because the damage that they will soak in from the ally protection increases based on how much crit damage the champion has. Okay, the champion that places the ally protection, not the champions that take the damage, the champion that soaks in the damage from ally protection. Yes, it is a pretty odd thing, but that's how the game is coded. Then, instantly activates this skill at the end of an ally's turn if that ally has no buffs and their HP is lower than 100%. Now, this actually sounds really, really, really good, okay? Because you take a turn with a champion, you have no buffs, he might be lower than 100% HP, and bang, he will get the buffs, which is pretty damn good, okay? Now, of course, if there are multiple champions in the team, only one will proc this. Now, what I'm very curious to know, because they're not mentioning it, is this going to be placed on cooldown when that happens? Or is just like a passive skill that has the 3-turn cooldown? It will proc, but then at the same time, you can still use the cooldown because that's kind of like a passive effect in the skill. Some champions have that. Usually, they either mention that this skill will not be placed on cooldown, or this skill will be placed on cooldown. This time around, we have none of that information in the kit description, so I guess it's something else that we need to try out and see. If the skill is not being placed on cooldown and he still has the ability to use it when he takes a turn, that's really, really good. If the skill is being placed on cooldown, it's not necessarily a bad thing because he instantly offers the protection to the other champion, but I don't think is as good as not being placed on cooldown. I would have loved to see in this skill as well, because he is a void champion at the end of the day, places an ally protection, blah blah blah, on an ally, and a shield on all allies, including himself, based off his defense. That would have been absolutely amazing. Now, he has no increased defense in the kit or anything like that. It does require 2 books in this skill to take it down to a 3-turn cooldown. One thing that I find pretty odd is the aura that he offers. It only works for void champions and is an HP aura in all battles, 40%. It is a pretty big aura, but why HP and not defense? You really want to increase the shield like this, or what's the whole idea? Thinking about it, there are a few void champions that place shields, but there are not that many, thinking about it, right? Like we have Marichka, we have Sir Nicholas that does that based off his damage. God, who else places a shield that is void? I can't really think of anyone else at the moment. I'm sure we have another 1 or 2, but they don't pop in my head right now. With a passive, for Lord and Land, I actually like the passive. Each time an enemy hits an ally, that ally's next attack will deal 10% more damage for each hit they take, stacking up to 100%. And the damage increase resets after that ally deals damage. Now, that can kind of like work in 2 ways. He counterattacks, bangs, he deals damage, so that will reset. An ally attack, bang, he deals damage, that will reset. But if you're going versus multiple targets, maybe multi-hit targets, and they hit one of your champions, your damage dealers, you could boost your damage by a lot, okay? So that is pretty damn crazy if you manage to stack it up to 100%, which is pretty hard because that champion might not survive, okay? But if he survives, he can deal a lot of additional damage, which is pretty good. Now, as I've mentioned, there are a lot of things very unclear in this skill description, starting with the A1, starting with the multipliers on the A2, and the cooldown on the A3. Other than that, he seems like a pretty interesting champion. He does not bring the shield, which is definitely one of his biggest cons, because that's not something that will make our life easier. If we're talking about Hydra or Chimera, I do find it pretty hard to build a team around him and bring in a shield champion to basically make the most out of his kit. But as I've mentioned, you can always play around with blood shield accessories and try to gain that shield so you don't require accuracy. That will not boost the damage, but at least it will help you to don't have your debuffs resisted. There's not going to be a 3% chance, which is really good. Void affinity, no weak hits or anything like that. Now, in the Chimera, I do like the 3rd skill. I do like the 1st skill. The 2nd is going to be pretty irrelevant unless he deals crazy damage, which I'll be very honest with you guys, just comparing him with other champions that have similar kits. Only one skill is meant to deal damage. the other one is not attacking. All of those champions suck in terms of damage. Now, they might surprise us with this one and actually do some crazy things. But he does seem pretty interesting on paper. As I've mentioned, crazy, not crazy, we're going to have to wait and test him. No FOMO, guys. If you do the fusion, it's fine. If you don't do the fusion, it's fine again. I do think that is one of the better fusions that we had this year. And you can play the game with him or without him, and not much is going to change. He's not a newt to be able, like, oh my god, I'm gonna wreck half of the dungeons in the game or stuff like that. But he sounds pretty damn interesting, both for PvE and for PvP. Okay, of course, Narcissus exists. He's gonna shit on all of the shield champions. That's another con for him in PvP. But the good thing is that every champion is meant to have a counter. So it's fair enough for him to have one as well. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Of course, as soon as I'm going to have this champion on the test server, I will be recording a guide, a test to see if the champion is actually going to be solid or he's not. There are a lot of variables, as I've mentioned, but he does look pretty good. Much love, appreciate all of you guys watching, and I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.